Monos, baby. You know what it is. So, what's the topic of discussion tonight? Tell you what the topic is. It's the Miami Hurricanes. Are they for real? I want to discuss it. Just to be completely transparent with you, I've been called a Miami Hurricane hater. I'm guilty of being called that. Am I a hater? I let you decide. Okay? Let's talk about it. What's the difference in the 2025 Miami Hurricanes compared to the Miami Hurricanes of the last couple of years? Let's talk about it. Very interested in this subject. Let's see. So, the Miami Hurricanes of 2024. No, let's go back further than that. 2023. What week are we in? What week are we in? Week 4. All right. 2023, September 1st. Miami Hurricanes beat Miami of Ohio 38-3. September 9th, 2023. Miami Hurricanes beat Texas A&M 48-33. September 14th, 2023. Miami Hurricanes beat a familiar opponent, Bethune-Cookman, 48-7. 3-0, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? And let's just fast forward. September 23rd, 2023. Miami Hurricane beats the Temple Owls 41-7. 2023. All right. Let's fast forward this thing to 2024, shall we? Because we don't even want to talk about how those years ended, right? So, August 31st, 2024, Miami Hurricanes faced the Florida Gators. Season opener last year in the Swamp. 41-17 domination. Miami Hurricanes, 1-0. Second week, Miami Hurricanes face a common opponent out of Tallahassee, not named Florida State. FAMU Rattlers. If you've never been to a FAMU homecoming, they say it's the best one. I've never been to it, but I definitely got to do it. I wish I would have did it in my 20s because it damn sure would have been interesting, to say the least. But back to football, September 7th, 2024, Miami, Florida. Miami Hurricanes beats the FAMU Rattlers 56-9, to no surprise. 2-0. September 14th, 2024, Miami Hurricanes dominate Ball State 62-0. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The 3-0 Miami Hurricanes march into Tampa Bay, Florida to play against a common opponent, South Florida Bulls. What did they do? Beat them 50-15. 4-0. Now, do I need to go into how the 2024 season ended or no? I don't think I need to do that. Anybody that knows Miami Hurricanes, if you're a Miami Hurricane fan, I doubt I need to go into how the rest of the 2024 season transpired with the late second comeback wins against the mediocre opponents. But we're not going to do that. So let's fast forward to 2025, shall we? Let's go. I got time. So, Miami Hurricanes face Notre Dame Fighting Irish. This is a rekindling of the Catholics versus the convicts rivalry from the 90s. Miami Hurricanes squeak out a 27-24 victory. Round of applause. Another common opponent. Bethune-Cookman. Miami Hurricane 45-3. And now y'all ain't gonna believe this. Guess who they played for their third opponent of the 2025 season? And this is where we're at. This is 2025. We're in September, and this game was played last Saturday. Miami Hurricanes hosted the South Florida Bulls. What was the score? 49-12. Okay. Great job. Because we're not gonna take that out. We're gonna keep that right on in there. We're gonna keep that in there because we keep it real. But now, let's focus on what I just said. The South Florida Bulls, they beat them 49-12. What is so big and important about that victory? Well, I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen. That's the only team on Miami's schedule that has a win. Did y'all know that? Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Now, I am guilty of this. I just knew with the returning starters that the Notre Dame Fighting Irish had, that they would be pretty much a carbon copy of the 2024 Notre Dame Fighting Irish. But guess what? I was wrong. I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. That's one thing about me. I'm a sorry saying, I'm sorry. I'm a sorry saying, mother, you know what? I don't mind saying I'm sorry. I don't mind saying I'm wrong. So, it's obvious Notre Dame is nothing like they was in the 2024 campaign. Why is that? They give up 27 points the first game against Miami, and the second game, if I'm not mistaken, which was last weekend against Texas A&M, they give up another 37 points. 37 plus 27, that's 64. 64 divided by 2, they got an average of 32 points a game. That's not 2024 Notre Dame Fighting Irish with Al Golden as the defensive coordinator. He is now the defensive coordinator of the Cincinnati Bengals. And I think if you've been watching the Cincinnati Bengals, you can tell. Okay? So let's put a pin in the conversation right there. So Bethune-Cookman doesn't have a win. Notre Dame doesn't have a win. South Florida beat a Boise State without their Heisman candidate, which is now the starting running back for the Las Vegas Raiders, Ashton Jeanty. Now, what are they without Ashton Jeanty? Please tell me. Get in the chat, let me know. What is Boise State going to do this year without Ashton Jeanty? I am waiting to hear y'all tell me that. Because I can tell you right now, not a damn thing. Okay? So that's one. So then South Florida, they travels down to the swamp to play the Florida Gators. Now, I will not take anything from this victory. I will not take anything away from South Florida for getting the victory against the Florida Gators. One thing I can tell you about that game, 2 touchdowns called back for holding. One holding, one offensive pass interference. Okay, 14 points there. Then you have a perfect pass thrown by Lagway, DJ Lagway, to the tight end. The ball goes straight through his hands in the end zone. That's 21 points. Now, if you just give them 14 of those points, they pretty much cover the spread. It is what it is. But don't take anything away from them. South Florida won. Whoop-de-doo. Okay? I knew they was no match for Miami. Okay? Anybody that watches college football knew that South Florida was no match for the Miami Hurricanes. All right? So, the Florida Gators travel down to Death Valley to play against LSU, and they get beat 20-10. Mainly because their highly touted quarterback, DJ Lagway, throws 5 interceptions, 3 in the second half. And guess what? The entire second half, Florida gives up 1 touchdown. You want to know who scored that touchdown? A defensive player for LSU Tigers that got a pick 6. That's how they scored that defense. That's how they scored that touchdown. Florida's only given up 2 touchdowns the entire season, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? So, are the Miami Hurricanes for real? We're going to find out in the next 2 weeks. Not the next 2 weeks, the next 3 weeks. Because after they play Florida this weekend, they'll travel to Tallahassee after a bye week on October 4th and face the Florida State Seminoles. Okay? But we'll find out within the next 2 weeks. Let me take a little hit of my hookah. So, talk to me. After what I just went over with you all, do you feel like Miami Hurricanes is for real? I don't know. I'm not willing to say they're not, but I'm definitely not willing to say that they are. The only team they faced this year. We understand what teams was the previous years or whatnot, but the only team they faced this year with a win is the South Florida Bulls. All right, let's stop all this bullshit. Like they just went out there and beat Ohio State. You know, I mean, Ohio State has shown that they are a force to still be reckoned with. Okay, let's not act like they've beaten the Georgia Bulldogs. Let's not act like they've beaten, shall I say, the Alabama Crimson Tide. They have beaten the 0-2 Notre Dame Fighting Irish, who definitely doesn't resemble the 2024 Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and they have beaten Bethune-Cookman and the University of South Florida. We're going to learn a lot this week because the defense that they're going to face in the Florida Gators is a force to be reckoned with. The offense, not so much, mainly because of the play of the quarterback. But I'll tell you this. If the quarterback gets it right this week, watch out. What's the line? Sunday, I made it a point to go to Bet Online. Shout out to Bet Online because I've made good off of it this year and so far. And I will be giving out some picks in my next video. But the first lines I saw for this game was 9.5. I've been hearing people say the first lines they saw was 3 points. That's not true. That is an ESPN. That's what ESPN had out there. That was the preseason's line for the Florida Miami game was 3 points, 3 to 3.5. But the first lines that I saw Sunday was 9.5. It was bought down to 7.5 within a heartbeat. So what does that tell you? The money was rolling in on the Florida Gators. I'm not confident enough in DJ Lagway to just to say that it's deservedly so, but I will say this: Miami is about to face the toughest defense they faced all year. Um, Beck INTs reared his ugly head against South Florida. He threw 4 touchdowns, but he also threw 2 picks. Hey, but he didn't outdo DJ Lagway because of course, like I said, he threw 5 picks. So, you know, but with the 5 picks and the only giving up the 1 touchdown they gave up the second half against LSU was a pick 6. I'm not saying he gets all his confidence back this week because there's no bye week, there's no get right game in between Florida and Miami. But if they could just call the plays to where he's not throwing 49 passes like he did against LSU, maybe you can run the ball more. Your leading rusher, Bob, was 10 rushes for 46 yards. If he can get 15 to 17 rushes, maybe that'll cut down on the passes attempt. I don't know. I'm not a genius. I'm just saying. I'm just going to tell you. If those turnovers are cut down to 1 or 2, and Miami gives you 1 or 2, and the turnovers is even, and this is saying a lot, if the penalties are somewhat even, ladies and gentlemen, we have an upset. You've heard it first here. I haven't given out my official prediction, but I'm just going to tell you this. If the penalties is a wash, if the turnovers is a wash, ladies and gentlemen, we have an upset. And if you listen to so-called experts preseason, all of them said Miami will split one of the 2 games between Notre Dame and Florida. They eked out a game against Notre Dame. Here comes Florida Saturday. But I'm interested to hear what you guys say. Please do me a favor. Hit that notification bell so you'll be notified every time I come on, speak with you. Also, hit the subscribe button. It don't cost you a dime. Hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. And share. Share this with your friends. You know, your barbershop buddies who you talk sports with during the week. I want to see what you're talking about in the chat. Tell me if I'm off bases here. Tell me if I'm off base. When we're talking about 2025, has Miami beat anyone yet? I'm not convinced. But if they take off on Florida this weekend, that'll be impressive. That'll be impressive. So once again, get in the chat. Let me know what you feel about what I just said. Um, again, I won't fall for it because I've seen this before. The last 3 years, I've seen Miami get off the fast starts. It's not surprising to me. It's not surprising at all. And I'll tell you another thing I see. Once they experience their first loss, they come in 2s and 3s. So I can guarantee you this. I can guarantee you this. Miami lose against Florida this weekend, you can bet your bottom dollar they lose again to Florida State in Tallahassee October the 4th. You've heard it here first. You can book that. You can book it. You can take the rubber band off and make you some good money. Go ahead and get your Christmas money out the way. If they lose to Florida this week, they're going to lose Florida State regardless in my mind. If they lose to Florida this week, book it. They'll lose 2 in a row. But get in the chat. Let me know what you feel about this. I just had this on my mind as I was just sitting down, winding down after work. I said, man, I got to go out here and talk to my people and see if anybody looks at this the way I look at it. I'm I'm very interested to know. I don't feel like I'm off base at all. And if I am, you let me know in the chat. Uh, Again, hit that notification button so you know when I'm on. And we'll continue to chop it up throughout the season. I'll be on before Saturday to give y'all my locks, and you don't want to miss that. I can assure you of that. You don't want to miss these locks.
Monos,
I can
baby.
assure you of that. So get in the chat. Let me know what's happening. Um, I just had to talk to y'all, man. I'm not convinced yet. If you want to get in the chat and convince me, cool. Saturday night will play a big part in convincing me if the Canes are a hurricane or if they just a tropical storm. You let me know. Nah, they gonna have to let me know Saturday, but you just let me know your thoughts. Hit me up in the chat, hit that like button, hit the notification bell, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Y'all be easy, be safe out there.